Hello everyone, welcome to Upfront, shooting from the beautiful Alberni Valley. Today my guest is Bill Collette. He's the Executive Director of the Alberni Valley Chamber of Commerce. Bill, welcome to our studio here today, and thank you for joining us. Good to have you to tell us all about what's going on at the Chamber. So thanks again for coming.
Great, thank you.
You know, we actually took to the streets, or Shaw Cable crew took to the streets, and there was an appropriate question that came up. It's very general, and I thought, you know, probably a good population of Port Alberni doesn't know what the Chamber does, so have a listen to this question.
Great, I will.
My question is, what does the Chamber of Commerce do for Port Alberni?
So from the youth, here you go.
Well, you know, it's a really interesting question because when I was in business for myself, I was a member of the Chamber of Commerce in a different community, and I often wondered as well what we do. So I've made it a real commitment, personal commitment here to be involved in a lot of different things. Just recently, I stood in front of the BC Chamber of Commerce in Victoria and presented on behalf of the Port Alberni Port Authority for their transshipment hub. And we had lobbied in advance of that through all the island chambers, through a lot of BC interior chambers, to get them to understand what that project is. So, you know, that's one thing that we've done. So we look after, we assist local business in political ventures, and so I was successful in getting that approved, which means the BC Chamber of Commerce will now have that as part of their agenda for the upcoming year to present to the provincial government. We're going to go forward. I'm going to present in Fredericton later this year for the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. That's one thing we do. We put on events. We run the visitor center. We host networking programs. We do education. We had last fall we had 50 people partake in a social media training program. So we dabble in a lot of stuff. I think we have a huge role to play in the community overall.
Okay, and mainly funded by members, community members, business persons?
Absolutely.
And the city as well?
Well, we're funded, that's a confusing point. So we're funded by people like yourself as a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and we really appreciate that. So we have a little over 300 members in the Chamber. So that's a big part of our funding. We raise money through things we do. Right now we're producing an events guide that we think will be very, very good. We produce maps, we produce food guide, and we earn a little bit of money on those projects. In terms of the city, it's confusing because even the city sometimes says that they fund the Chamber of Commerce. They don't. The city provides us with a fee for service to run the visitor center.
Right.
So we do get that money from the city, but it's earmarked for visitor services. So it's like the city of Port Alberni is our biggest client.
Gotcha.
So of course we try and do a very, very good job of that. But we are funded by our members and by many of the things we do.
Okay, so tourism obviously related there. We'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. But seeing we're on to business, I remember when you first came into the community, how many years has it been now?
Just over 4 years.
4 years. So when you first came to Port Alberni and took on this role, you were out doing a survey with other people. And what I was wondering now is what became of that survey? What was the end results? And was there action that happened because of it?
Well, the survey was done by the city of Port Alberni. So what happened was I was accepted the job. I think it was in December of 2012. The job was to start in March, so I rejected the job. I didn't want to wait that long. So the chamber got active with the city and found this contract that the city could employ me on. So I spent January, February, March that year doing this survey. Pat Deacon in the Economic Development Office have used it a fair bit. You know, I can't really answer exactly what they've done with the survey, but I can tell you that by contracting me to do the survey, they essentially set me up to do a much better job. I met you doing that survey. I met 175 other businesses doing that survey. Wow. I was successful after meeting you in getting you with the contract for the the group insurance plan.
Chamber benefits, yeah.
Which was, you made a very, very good point to me that I thought, wow, Aaron's right.
Keep it
I have
local,
to
yeah.
fix this. And so it became a personal mandate of mine to fix it, and we did.
Yeah.
And so I think it made me do a better job, and it certainly, because it allowed me to understand 175 local businesses before I started my job.
Yeah. From what I understood, and I've read little tidbits about the survey earlier, and what I understand is there was a bit of an attitude out there in the business community that doesn't portray us and put us in the best light. Are you aware of that, or
Who's us?
As far as Port Alberni business, in general, the attitude isn't always positive. And it's hard to portray yourself as a grand community if there's a negative attitude. Have you seen that change since you've been here, or?
Yeah, I don't know whether I totally agree with that statement. When I met the 175 businesses, I went into some back rooms and I saw people in tears talking about their business. 100% of those business owners were passionate about their business. Some of them were struggling.
Yeah.
Some of them probably still are struggling. Others were doing exceptionally well. So there was a whole cross-section of success. But the interesting thing that I discovered during that and since then is that people love Port Alberni. And it made me proud to take on this job because I was recognizing that I'm going to work with people that really are committed to this community. So I think locally here, from at least the business perspective, it's very positive for the most part.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously what we need to promote ourselves.
Yeah.
So staying on the business line, then you mentioned promoting the Port Authority or lobbying on their behalf. Is there other lobbying you do on behalf of the business community, taxation-wise, or?
Absolutely. We have a very effective Civic Affairs Committee, which is our most effective committee. We've taken a position on that. Some chambers have an adversarial relationship with the local municipality. We don't, and I'm really proud of that. We may disagree, we may present a different opinion, but because we work really hard on the relationship, I think we're successful a lot of the times. Case in example, when the city wanted to buy a new garbage truck a couple of years ago or a year ago, whatever it was. We didn't agree with their position on it. We didn't agree that the taxpayer should spend $300,000 on a new truck when there was 3 companies providing those services in Port Alberni. At least one of those companies is a local resident here paying taxes. So it didn't make sense to us that we've got this company paying taxes to prop up their competitor, the city. So we stepped in. And I presented to council, and we were successful in swaying the vote the way we wanted it. So those are the kinds of things we do. Through our Civic Affairs Committee, we step into taxation stuff.
So do you lobby at the provincial level as
yeah,
well,
absolutely.
and federal level?
Absolutely. I take credit for some of the changes that BC Ferries have made with their new tiered rates. I've written 2 or 3 letters to them expressing that very thought. Like, why not have a lower rate on a late night sailing to attract people to that sailing and that maybe don't want to spend the higher rate at a 12:30 p.m. sailing. So. And these are types of things we discuss in our Civic Affairs Committee, and we pursue it.
So let's talk a little bit about tourism. What's new in tourism? What's happening in the Alberni Valley? Have you seen growth? Is it helping the economics of Port Alberni?
I'm a tourism proponent. In my youth, I worked in a fly-in fishing camp in Northwest Ontario. I was very early into tourism, and I get it. I think Port Alberni has a tremendous tourism collection of products. I think we're getting better and better and better all the time. I think our products are getting better. Our ownership, our delivery of the products is getting better, and the recognition in the community is recognizing that, wow, we do have this stuff. We do have a product that we should be and are proud of. And it's our job in the visitor center to help promote that, to help make people realize that, wow, you can stay in Port Alberni. You don't actually have to drive the extra hour and a half if you don't want to. Lots to do here.
Yeah. So do you feel that it's still an untapped market for us, or?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
What's missing?
Well, what's missing? You know, I can't nail that right now. I think what's missing is perhaps more marketing. That's the big thing that's missing. I do hope that our businesses will look at their own marketing, how they broadcast what they're doing, so that the wider world knows about it. We've got ATV tours, we have fishing tours, we have, and that can be freshwater in the fall. It can be, out on the inlet. It can be out off the coast. We've just got tremendous product out there, and we've got the soaring organization. I mean, it's just umpteen different things we can do that are out there.
Our biggest challenge in this community is, like you said, keeping them here and inviting them to stay and getting them to stay, because everybody's destination obviously is Tofino, Ucluelet, West Coast. Some of our challenges, and maybe this is a tough one for you to talk about right now, but McLean's Mill, potentially one of our biggest tourist attractions, going through some struggles. Well,
before I get to McLean's Mill, and don't let me forget to get there, but I'll mention one thing, because you sort of triggered one thought. We're running a Alberni Valley Tourism Training Program. So that is a program that we've, through the city, through, again, our good relationship with the city, we had spearheaded the idea, and then the city helped us get funding for it. And we are now in the middle of training upwards of 300 people on our products. Wow. And free training. And these will be frontline people working at Walmart or Home Hardware, Canadian Tire, or For You, that want to come in and learn about the tourism products. I created an 83 question questionnaire that nobody can get the answers to. And these are, you wouldn't pass it. I'll send you the questionnaire and see if you passed. And it's not a matter of passing, but it's a matter of understanding, wow, we have that. And it really helps people understand that, man, we've really got some great stuff. So that program's fantastic. These people learn about social media, they learn about cultural sensitivities, the tourism training, and then of course World Host, which in itself is a $90 program for customer service training, and we offer it for free. Nice.
So a lot of the retailers are stepping up, you're saying, and sending employees?
Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, we're in the middle of that. It's a challenge for us to get the people taking the program, but we've had quite a few. McLean Mill, absolute gem. McLean Mill is a top 3 tourism product on Vancouver Island, if not higher. Our challenge is to get it to that level, but we have a tremendous executive director out there right now, Deanna Baudouin. She's doing an awesome job. Very focused on events and on the bigger picture of what McLean Mill has to offer. It's not just a mill site. It's 32 acres of pristine property. It's absolutely fantastic. Any community on the planet would say, please give me that place. There's not a community that would say no to that opportunity. Hop on a steam train, go on 10 kilometers through beautiful property, get out to McLean Mill, get off, go for a walk. We now have our food services operational out there, and I think we'll be able to demonstrate how much of a value add that is. We've got a 3-tiered deck out there now, so people can go out and enjoy a cup of coffee or whatever. And we've got several different tours. We've got weddings booked, corporate retreats booked. We will be a top 3 tourism activity, so it's not a difficult question for me to answer.
And you mentioned the train is running?
The train is running. Right now, the smaller locomotive is running. The tracks are approved for that, and there's just one more little step that has to be done to get the bigger locomotives going, but it's imminent.
Yeah, and the mill itself has been showing actual logs being cut, but right now it's down?
Yeah, the mill is down right now for at least 2017. It has a couple of work-safe issues on it that we need to address, so that'll be on our board agenda for 2018 and beyond. And We're not writing it off by any means. We are, but our big focus this year was the train, the tracks, getting them to BC Safety Authority standards. We want to be in the top level of railroads in British Columbia. And through the work of Deanna and her team, we're going to get there.
Yeah. So looking 5 years ahead, where do you see the mill at?
Like I said, top 3 tourism activity on Vancouver Island, for sure.
Yeah.
Competing with Butchart Gardens, competing with the Wild Pacific Trail in Ucluelet. You know, we already have the product. We just haven't been able to market it properly, and we haven't been able to expand it so that a 7-year-old kid is going to love it out there, and his mom and his grandfather and everybody. So, and that's what Deanna's, I think, going to be quite successful with.
Yeah.
And so I see that as people will come to Vancouver Island and have to include McLean Mill in it.
And make them stay.
And make them stay, yeah, absolutely.
Or ask them to stay anyways.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So a little more tourism related. Again, the Shaw Cable crew was down at the Harbour Quay and ran into an individual who had another interesting question about tourism, and you may or may not be able to answer it, but let's have a listen.
Well, what would be nice to see is that we've got a beautiful harbor here, and to see something with the cruise ship lines making more interest to come here and use this harbor. It's adequate to handle it, so it'd be great to see it happen.
Cruise ships, wow.
Yeah,
What a
so
concept.
it is. The year I got here, 2013, we had a cruise ship come in, and and I think we did, pardon me, I think we did quite well in entertaining those guests. They got very good feedback. I know that the Port Authority and the City of Port Alberni attended cruise ship shows in Seattle, and I think even Florida. Don't quote me on that, but I know that they've been working hard to attract that audience. We do have the port, we do have the infrastructure to handle it. Through the McLean Mill Society, we are developing a relationship with the Nanaimo Port Authority and their cruise ship stuff. Fell out of Victoria that takes people, and the #1 tour out of Nanaimo is Port Alberni and McLean Mill. So we've got a rapport, a relationship with this fellow. We're inviting all of them out to the McLean Mill on our hook this summer to show them, to really show them what we have to offer. And we will be including invites to the cruise ship industry. Again, this is a project, you know, really spearheaded by the Port Authority, and but we will support however we can through our visitor center, through McLean Mill Society, and through the Chamber of Commerce. It's definitely, it's a great question. We should have more.
So talk a little bit more about the buses coming from Nanaimo, bringing tourism here from the cruise ships there, and the main attraction was McLean's Mill?
The main attraction was both the steam train.
Right.
So the train was, I think, the biggest attraction. But the mill itself, the mill operations itself, they put on a show and showcased that. So, you know, I think a collection of things. They stopped at Cathedral Grove, they got to the train station, they hopped on the train, they get out to McLean Mill. Oftentimes 2 buses came, 1 bus would go straight to the mill, 1 bus to the train station, and then they'd reverse. So so that everybody got on the train. If there was more than 185 people, that's how they managed it. So it's a great tour, and we really want to expand on that.
Oh, sounds good. And you are also a big proponent, the Chamber is yourself, of the Triconic event, and that's quite a large event. Pretty exciting to see in the Alberni Valley. Why don't you tell us a bit about that, how the whole thing came to be, and what the plan is for the future of it?
Well, how it came to be was before the McLean Mill Society, I was named on a committee by the city. Put me on a committee, the McLean Mill Committee, and we were investigating the challenges facing the mill through 2015, 2016, and we met monthly. Even more than that, we did a lot of investigation onto that, and part of that was the #7 challenge that had been operating here for 3 years. Race the Train. And in 2015, they had 13 people participate in this thing, and they charged them each $10, and we all know what it costs to run the train. It's a lot more than $130. So I looked at that from a business perspective, and from an event perspective, and from a chamber perspective, and from a visitor perspective, and thought, wow, this is a great idea. Why is it not working? So I proposed that I take it over. And they were happy with that. The McLean Mill, people, the IHS running the mill at the time, and the McLean Mill management, they were happy to have me take it over. And so we marketed it aggressively in Victoria at running events, all up and down the island at various running events. We built a backdrop, we developed a website on Facebook, and we went from 13 registrants to 204 last year.
Wow.
We ended up on the right side of the financial ledger running the event. We had great community support. We picked a beautiful day. You know, the weather really cooperated. And while I was marketing that event in Victoria in particular, people came by the booth, and these are runners. They're athletes doing the Victoria Marathon, and they're saying, well, why is there a picture of a train here? What's that got to do with a running event? I say, well, how about Race the Train in Port Alberni? And it stopped them dead in their tracks.
Yeah.
And I realized that day that we could build on this event. And I knew that we needed a Canada 150 event for 2017. So came up with the idea of Race the Train, race the Francis Barclay, swim on beautiful Sprout Lake with the Martin Mars water bomber in the background. And so the Triconic Challenge came to be, operating in 2017, and we plan to operate it beyond that. We might tweak it a bit.
Yeah.
You know, we will assess it and critique it.
Yep. Learn as you go.
Learn as we
make
go
it better.
and make it better. Yeah.
Excellent.
But it's a very exciting thing to be part of.
Yeah. So 13 to 200 and
13 to 204.
that's incredible growth.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can continue to double and.
Well, and I understand through, you know, we've hired a race director for the 2017 event, a professional race director, and he says, you know, you have to give these events 5 years. You know, it's like any business.
For prize money?
Pardon?
Is there prizes, prize money, or is it just an event?
It's just an event.
Yeah.
We're trying to showcase Port Alberni.
Yeah.
You know,
Get people participating.
Yeah. We have people coming from Vancouver, the Vancouver Open Water Swim Association. We're flying them over here as a donation, 8 people. They are blown away at our, you know, what Port Alberni is offering. So, so we've tremendous corporate support.
Excellent. We got just a couple minutes left, but what's up and coming for the Chamber? Anything new on the horizon?
Well, we're big into training. I want to have a training event in October for local executive directors. I think there's a need, and that is part of our strategic plan, is to training, just like we did last year with the social media program. So that's something that I'd like to see happen in later this year, and just keep up with events, keep up with our Alberni Valley Tourism Training Program, and keep up with our dinner meetings, which have been really good over the last 2 or 3 years.
You also host the award ceremonies?
We host the award ceremonies. They've gone very well. Sellout, 3 years in a row, a sellout. We expect 2018 will be the same.
Yep.
And so yeah, we're busy. You know, the first guy answering the question, you know, what does the Chamber do? Well, man, it makes me work 60, 70 hours a week, quite honestly. So we're doing lots.
Yep. Well, good for you, Bill. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
And we'll check back and see how everything's going in a few years, or maybe sooner.
Yeah. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks again. So you've been watching Up Front, again here from the beautiful Alberni Valley, well promoted by our guest, Bill Collette, the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in, or if you have something to say, find a way to get involved. I'm Aaron Vissia for Shaw TV.